5 creative ways to generate listings that are not your typical follow up with your spear and call the newest expireds. Hi everyone, I'm Carl Sanfilippo of RE/MAX First Realty and RE/MAX Tri-County. I am so excited to bring today's training to you because, as you know, we are in one of the most competitive markets ever. I'm passionate about helping agents grow their business, especially through listings. So why listings? Listings equal leverage. The National Association of Realtors put out a stat a few years ago that for every buyer you work with, you spend 40 hours with that one buyer. With every listing you're dealing with, you're spending about 10 hours. So that means in the same amount of time, you could be dealing with 4 sellers for every one buyer. That is a huge way to increase your revenue and your commissions. And in this market, I think that stat's even skewed more. You're probably spending a lot more time than 40 hours with your average buyer, and you're probably spending less than 10 hours on a listing because listings are selling so fast. Everything we see is getting multiple offers. Buyers are suffering buyer fatigue. Agents are suffering agent fatigue. If you're a buyer's agent, you're waking up to text messages that your offer of $30,000, $40,000 above list price was not accepted. The buyers are getting frustrated. 40 offers on things. The seller's agents are getting fatigued because even though the listing's selling quick, they're taking a lot of heat from other agents thinking they're not presenting the offer and whatnot. So this is not your typical market. And if you're new in the business, that's right, this is not your typical market. Even if you've only been in the business for the last 5 years, this is still not your typical market. What goes up must come down. The only constant with this business is that things change. And today's training is not going to get you more listings. That's right, it's not going to get you any more listings. What it's going to do, though, is give you a foundation to think of new techniques to generate listings. But the real work is what you do after the training. It's the actions you take. It's the commitments you make. Action creates momentum. So if you see these 5 different listing strategies that we're going to go through, just pick 1 or 2 and try to implement it in your business, and try to implement the one that you feel is the best for your business. And another thing I'm going to say this is listings. Not everybody's cut out to be a big listing agent, and that's okay. Forget what you see on social media. Forget what all the coaches are telling you that you have to have a lot of listings. I know agents who have built really big businesses focusing on buyers because they don't like dealing with sellers. They think sellers are difficult. And that's okay, but you have to find out what's good and right for you and your business. This business is the best is when you're doing the most amount of business in the least amount of time, in my opinion. And if that's with buyers and you've scaled out a system to handle a lot of buyers, that's great. But if you really don't like listings, that's okay as well. But what else is great about listings is if you do have listings, is that listings will create the best buyer leads out there. If somebody's calling off a sign, that's still one of the best leads in the business because they know the area, they've seen the outside of the house. It's a lot different than paying for a Zillow lead and the lead comes in and the people don't even like the neighborhood or they like the house and you just drive out there to find out that they really aren't interested in the house. Your business could spider web with listings. Who here is watching that's ever had that listing where it turned into 4 or 5 deals? You did an open house. You got a buyer from the open house. You sold them another deal. You got a lead for that house and you sold them that house. You did another cross sale. You took your sellers and then sold them something else. Before you know it, that one listing generated 5 or 6 deals, which really increased your volume and your commissions for the years. That's why listings are so great. But right now, listings are more competitive than ever. So it's time you have to sharpen your skills, think outside the box to generate more inventory. So let's look at today's market. What's going on? Obviously, we are still in the midst of the pandemic of COVID-19. So what happened was last spring, when we went to quarantine, things slowed down greatly. Listings were down 80 to 90%. Business was down. People were worried about safety. Now, over a year later, things are starting to turn, but we aren't seeing listings come on the inventory. And there's a lot of reasons for that. One, mortgage rates. We saw mortgage rates go to historic lows. We've seen them start creeping back up, but we saw them at historic lows where everybody was worried about the uncertainty of what was going on in the market and the pandemic, that a lot of sellers decided just to refi and wait a year or two and see what happens instead of putting their house on the market. A lot of people were nervous, and I'm not rightfully so, of having people come in their house. Last year at this time, we only saw vacant houses really coming on the market because people didn't know the protocols and safeties to be able to show their house during the pandemic. And that's why it's so important that we're educating our buyers and sellers right now about how we're working through the pandemic and are showing protocols. But we all see it. The inventory is so tight. We've all seen the open houses that have lines of 30 to 40 people waiting outside to get in because there's just no inventory. Some towns are down to single-digit houses. We see 30, 40,000. We see a waiver of appraisals. We see waiver of inspections. We see all these contingencies being waived. This is truly one of the craziest seller markets in the history of our business. If you get a listing and it's priced somewhat right, it's not a matter if it's going to sell, just when it's going to sell, how fast it's going to sell, how many offers you're going to get, and how high over the list price you're going to get. So creating inventory now can really expand your business. What does the future of this market look like? Rates are still relatively low, but we're not going to be able to stay on this pace forever. I think we're going to stay like this through the end of this year, and we might start seeing changes next year. But nobody really knows what the future holds. Inventory was tight before the pandemic, and now it's just even tighter. Distressed properties are not going to be a factor for a year or two. Everybody that's in forbearance keeps getting extended. So I think we will start seeing the effects, but not immediately. And this is the best time to be educating your buyers and sellers about the market. If you're not educating your buyers about what's happening, you're going to have a very stressful relationship. If you have a buyer who's saying, I don't want to get into multiple offers and I want to steal, this is probably not the market for them. And as an agent, if you have enough in your pipeline, you have to be okay to say that to your client, because you can't be spending all your time on a buyer that's not going to realistically buy in this market. Vice versa, if you're a listing agent, some sellers are starting to think that their house is worth numbers that are astronomical. It's also reeling them back into a little bit of, hey, yes, the market's going crazy, 30, 40,000, but you also don't want to price yourself completely out of the market, which we've seen. So all this stuff is important right now, is in one of the most competitive, in my opinion, trickiest markets that we've ever seen. What else we're seeing too is we're seeing a lot of people come from New York, other states, go to suburbia, come away from urban areas to go to more suburban areas. And I think a lot of people who made that move in a year or two might want to go back, and we might see that increase inventory. But you know what else is one of the biggest factors in listing inventory today? Is the number of agents in the business. Right now, there are more agents in the business than there is inventory. We are seeing record number of agents come into the business. Why? Some of them were in the business during the last boom, and now that there is a boom again, they want to get back in. What else has happened is the biggest barrier to get your real estate license was that you had to go to class and you had to go sit in a school. You had to leave your house. Now you can get your real estate license from the comfort of your home on Zoom. That some of the Zoom classes for real estate schools have over 250 people on Zoom. They're not limited to the space they're in. People aren't thinking, oh, wow, I have to go after work and go sit in a classroom. They can literally sit on their couch or on their desk in their home office and get their real estate license. This is a huge change that's creating more agents into the inventory. So what's happening is a lot of experienced agents who might have got a listing from a past client or referral, brother, sister's aunt just got in the business and they feel like they have to give them a shot. This is driving a wedge into some people's business. But that is why I'm going to tell you is this is the time to double down and being in front of your past clients' sphere and top of mind. That is the most consistent way to generate business for 99% of the agents out there. And if you don't have a system, and this is a whole nother training that we do, to stay in front of your past clients' sphere, old leads that you might not have converted, is you have to have the system. Because the more you have that system, the less technology companies and these new agents coming into the market are going to wedge a gap between you and your past clients. Confidence. Not everyone is confident to work with sellers. We touched on a little bit on this before. I remember as a listing agent, I had a listing once and I got a phone call from the seller saying that somebody left the whole bathroom light on. I said, okay, did you shut it off? I apologize about that. We have a note in the MLS to turn off the lights. They said, I want you at every single showing. The seller was irate. That's just one small example, but people who are watching this who have had listings know sometimes sellers could be a little difficult. Sometimes you put the house on the market, you get the price that they want on the market, and the seller goes, I knew we listed it too low, let's go higher. Buyers in a traditional market, this is not your traditional market, right? Buyers in traditional markets are typically happy to go out, they're looking at houses, they're having fun, it's like HGTV. This market, it's not as fun to be the buyer because you're competing against other 30 and 40 offers. But again, we are not in your typical market. But the truth is, you have to have confidence when you're working with a seller. And we do training on listing presentations. One of the things you need to do in your listing presentations, you need to ask really good questions and set the right expectation with the seller from the beginning. Because if you don't, you're going to have a bad experience throughout the transaction. I also say sometimes some of the best listings you can take are the ones you don't. Because I've been there where I've taken a listing, where I've signed the listing agreement when I was an agent selling. And I remember walking out of the house thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just signed a contract to work with these people and have them in my life for the next 6 months. I literally thought that walking out the door. And you know what? I was right. It was one of the worst transactions I ever had. I was literally on my honeymoon, on my birthday, after setting the expectation we do a price reduction when we get back, where I had to give the seller a release because they came in upset about the listing, even though I had clearly set the expectations. That was not the seller's fault. When I reflect on that, that was my fault because I knew what I was getting myself into. I obviously didn't set the right expectation, and I was obviously not the right fit for that seller. And the house sold for the exact price I told him it would, but we listed way higher because the seller took control of the appointment. And I'm sure that story resonates with some people watching this right now. So your listing presentation, the more confident you are with your listing presentation, the more confident you will be generating listing leads. 100%. Period. There are agents that are probably watching this thinking they are confident with their listing presentation, but when it comes down to it, they are not. Your listing presentation should be a similar, standardized presentation. And why do I say that? You want everybody to have the same experience, what it's like to work with you. Are you adding value? Are you impressing the seller? Are you showing anything that differentiates yourself from the other two agents that might come into the business? the listing presentation with that seller? Are you differentiating yourself? What makes you different than the other agents? Do you know? Do you have good marketing material that you can show the seller, present the seller? You could tell the seller you're really good at marketing, or you can give them a marketing piece that demonstrates you're really good at marketing. Just something to think about. What's your process before you get in there? I'm big on pre-listing packets. You have one chance to make a first impression with somebody. I think a really great pre-listing packet with a video is a phenomenal way to do it. A little bit about my story. So I went to college at Muhlenberg College in Allentown, Pennsylvania, got a degree in political science, went to Lehigh University, got a master's. Right after school, I went and got my dream job. I was living down in Philadelphia, working right in Center City on Broad Street. Thought things were great. About a month into it, I'm sitting there looking at an Excel spreadsheet and realizing this can't be the rest of my life. So I quit that job. I got another job in the real estate spectrum. It was not a good fit for me. So I was about 26 years old. I called my parents. I said, Mom, Dad, I'm moving home to Jersey. So I said, I'm going to move home and I want to get into real estate and I want to go all in. So what I did, worst financial advice ever, I got a credit card for 0% interest for 12 months. I said, I'm going to use this credit card and I'm going to work and build my real estate business and use this credit card to live off of. And if I can't pay this credit card off in 12 months, I'm going to go get a real job, right? Because this is not a real job, doing real estate. I was lucky enough that I went in and I just worked. I made calls all day. I got into the business around April. I didn't have my first close until February. That first calendar year, I did nearly $15 million in production. Paid off the credit card, bought a house, and then about 7.5 years later, I said, I really would like a new challenge. I bought a real estate office with 8 agents, one office. We were number 40 in the MLS. Now we're number 1 in that MLS. Really grew the business, expanded. But what I do is I'm passionate about teaching agents how to scale. I went all in and bet on myself. And I think that is what others also have to do. So I was brand new in the business and I realized something very, very quick. I did not like working with buyers. I was just not wired that way. I just didn't enjoy the process. I would fumble around with the lockbox. I would show that I was awkward showing the house. We'd walk in. I remember the first time I showed a house, I was actually to my buddy. I'm like, this is the kitchen. It's got cabinets, appliances, bathroom. See, there's a bathroom. It's got like a toilet. I was not comfortable working with buyers. They ended up buying through somebody else too, right? So I realized I need to go on listings. So I really doubled down on what I was doing. I started doing a lot of REO listings and a lot of short sales, and I just kind of doubled down in that niche. I would do some residential, but I really doubled down on distressed properties because I got very comfortable with it. I also had no friends who were buying houses, no family that was buying houses. I had no sphere. So if I had to make this work, I was going to make it work. And I did it through the phone. And that worked for me, but that doesn't work for everybody. So it's finding what you're comfortable at and doubling down on it. That's where you get real success in this business. I wrestled. And I always use this analogy. When I wrestled, there was kids who were okay at 10 to 15 moves. They were okay wrestlers. Then I wrestled kids who were dominant at 1 or 2 moves that you couldn't stop. They were state champions and All-Americans. So in this business, I don't think you have to be you don't have to be okay at 10 different lead generation strategies. If you could dominate 1 or 2 that nobody can stop you at, that's what's really going to grow your business. And you're going to enjoy it more. So ways to generate listings: expireds, for sale by owners, mailers, working by referral. This is what everybody trains you on how to generate listings. This is what most agents are doing right now. Property expires, they call it the next day. Going after for sale by owners. And what's happening right now is a lot of individuals are seeing everybody on social media who are agents posting, listed this house, got 46 offers, it sold right away, bop, bop, bop. The consumer is thinking, wow, Look at Steve, listed the house, got all these offers. How hard can it be? I'll do it on my own. I don't need an agent. Think about that the next time you're posting something like that. They're thinking, I could do this on my own. So there's for sale by owners. There's mailers. You send out the mailers, you send monthly, farm, one of the oldest ways to generate business. Working with your database. This is the key to any business. We do a training just on this. So we're going to talk about different strategies today, but I stress to you is, can you run your referral and repeat business like it's a franchise? If I ask you, if you sold me a house a year ago or 2 years ago, how have I heard from you and in what matter? Are you able to right away tell me your plan? If not, that's okay. But it's something you want to start thinking about how you can improve. Because when you kind of automate, and I don't mean automate not having those personal touches, but when you have a system of how you're staying in front of your past clients, like Brian Buffini teaches and other real estate coaches, the better your business is going to be, and you're working with people that know you, like you, and trust you because of a referral or because they worked with you in the past. So, we're going to talk about the first way to 5 creative listings. 1, expireds. I know what you're saying. Carl, you just said how we were not going to learn about expireds. Correct. Most of the way people call expireds is the house expires at 12 o'clock on a Monday. At Tuesday at 8 a.m., they're calling them. This is not the market for that. 1, we don't even have that many expireds. But let me challenge you on this. So what happened about a little over a year ago is people whose house expired or took their house off the market because the pandemic hit. Have they relisted? If they haven't relisted, that is an opportunity to go after an expired from about a year ago, year and a half ago, who might have said we're going to wait to the spring market, but we had a spring market like no other spring market ever in history before. So they might be looking to sell. They might not just be educated about the protocols we're using to show safely. This is an opportunity for you to add value. Yes, I saw your house was on the market last February. I know the world turned upside down with the pandemic, but the market is so red hot, seller market, a lot of people moving out of state. This is a massive opportunity to get business. And guys, what I'm talking about now is not theory. This is stuff that agents I've worked with have implemented in their business and have gotten results. Your business changes with small, little changes. Small hinges swing big doors. That's my coach John Cheplack taught me that saying a year ago, and it's so true. Calling expired still work, but I wouldn't go after the expired today. I would go after the expired from a year and a half ago. A year and a half ago, they could have took their house off the market because it was the holidays and they were going to put it on that spring. Springtime's hit. We're in the middle of quarantine. They never relist the house. So go back on your expireds. Come from a place of educating. Call the expireds that nobody else is calling. Why go after the one that everybody else is going after? In every market, you know the agents who are going to call that expired the next day at 7, 8 o'clock. And let me rephrase, 8 o'clock. Can't be calling before 8. You shouldn't call before 8. Follow the rule. The rule is you can't call before 8. So go back. Call the ones that people aren't calling. If you ever look at calling expireds, there's systems like Mojo, Vulcan 7, where you can get the data, you can pull it, cross-reference it. This is creating inventory. And this is going after a lead source that not everybody's going after. Secondly, absentee owners. You might be asking, what is an absentee owner? An absentee owner is exactly that. It's an investor or somebody who's not living at the property. Why is absentee owner such a great strategy right now? A lot of people are nervous about listing their house because they're afraid of where they're going to go. It's so competitive on the buy side is they're curious, if I sell my house, am I going to get into a crazy bidding war? Where am I going to go? And it's taken a lot of people off the market. They're not listing because of that. But an absentee owner, it's an investment property. It could be a property they had that they lived in. didn't have equity in the house, but they wanted to move, so they decided to keep it as a rental property, and they bought another property. But what's great about the absentee owners is if you sell the house, they don't have to worry about where to go. So I would be marketing absentee owners big time. A lot of them are investors who might want to look to cash out on how good the market is and how the equity is. A lot of landlords are pretty stressed out right now because you can't evict tenants, and who knows how long it's going to last. So this is a great opportunity to get in the ear of absentee owners and market to them. This is a strategy that real estate investors have been using for years. Why not you as a real estate agent? Massive opportunity. Where can you get absentee owner data? You could get it from Remind, which is part of CJMLS's tax record. You can get it from propstream.com. You can get it from listsource.com. You can get lists of absentee owners. And what's even good about this is if you get the right investor, you can get multiple listings. Because they might have a small portfolio of properties that they want to sell because we're at record highs. Everybody's wondering in the public and in the industry, what does the backside of this market look like? When the shoe drops and the bottom falls out, what does it look like? A lot of investors want to take advantage of that and sell now while things are high. So marketing to absentee owners is a massive opportunity if you act on it. And you can send mailers. If they're not on the do not call list, you can call them. So again, really look into the absentee owners as it could really help propel your business. Next is short sales. Is this the time to focus on short sales? I believe so. This is why. Let's go back to absentee owners. There's a lot of investors whose tenants might have stopped paying rent for whatever circumstance during the pandemic. And when the forbearance ends, they might be in a situation where they say, no, I just want to get rid of this property. I might have to short sell it. Or if it's not today, what about in a year from now? Right? If this market changes, just like it did in 2008, and I'm not making a prediction that I think it's going to be 2008 or anything like that, but I'm just playing, what does the flip side of this look like? If you're educated and know how to do short sales, and people who have been in this business since 2005 know how to deal with short sales. But there could be a massive opportunity to market to short sales. Most agents generate short sale listings by a past client or somebody they know calls them, says, I'm in a financial situation, I'm thinking of having to do a short sale. But you're able to pull people who are pre-foreclosure because it's public record from the tax records, from ListSource, like the ListSource, PropStream, like we were talking about, and you can market to them. I sold a lot of short sales when I was an agent, and for me, it just fit my business. I didn't have to do open houses. I didn't have to always fight about price. I always tried to price things really fairly and competitive so I could get that approval the first time. And I was able to scale out a pretty large short sale business when a lot of people were turning away from them. When everybody was going left, I went right. I doubled down on short sales. And there was a year where I did about 50 short sales in 1 year because I had it systemized. Do I think short sales are going to go back to the same levels that we saw in the past? No. But do I think we're going to see them? Yes. In any market, there's always short sales and REOs. It's just how many there are. But if you're focusing and you're marketing towards short sales, there's an opportunity to get some listings. And what's great is some people who might be in pre-foreclosure, since they're not doing any sheriff sales right now, and the market's gone up, is that short sale marketing might actually just be a regular listing because there's actually equity because we've seen prices increase, but the homeowner might just want to move on. So you could proactively generate it by mailing to pre-foreclosures. We've had luck with running Google pay-per-click ads for a short sale specialist in terms like that, where it goes to a landing page, they enter their information, then it goes into a marketing funnel. Right now, I'm kind of giving a brief overview, always reminding your sphere and past clients that you do handle these type of distressed properties. But I wouldn't turn your head away from looking at short sales, especially as markets change. So the way we had it scaled with short sales, I'll give you a little bit of, I would get the lead, I would go out, I would speak to the homeowner. When I spoke to the homeowner, I would educate them on the phone before I even got it to their house. I would go there, I'd have all my listing paperwork filled out, except for price, expiration date, and everything like that. I would stickers to say sign here, I had everything I need, short sale package. Speak with the homeowner, I would have the pictures done there, I would have a lockbox put on the house, I would have everything I needed to do in that one first trip out there. House on the market, as soon as we got an offer that I thought was right, I had an assistant working with me. We then, with the help of different attorneys, we would then process the short sale. And that's how we were able to do it in volume. Whenever I look at a business strategy, whether it's absentee owners, whether it's short sales, whether it's expireds, whether it's some of the other things we're going to talk about in today's training, I always think, how can I scale this? As soon as I get the first, I said, how can I get 10? How can I get 15? How can I get 30? How can I get 40? And that's how I was even when I was an REO agent. I remember when I got my first REO property, I'm like, how do I get 100? I always look at how to scale it without sacrificing all my time. Because as you know, you can scale in this business and it can eat up all your time very fast. And to me, time is crucial. Jeff Bezos can go make another $50 billion at Amazon, but Jeff Bezos can't be 25 again. So when you're scaling, looking at your freeing up your time is just as important as anything else. So the next method is tried, tested, and proven. The video marketing machine. And I know what you're thinking, oh no, not video. Everyone keeps talking about video. I'm nervous to do video. I always say, the way you look and sound on video is the way you look and sound in real life. I was not comfortable at doing video, and now we have a massive video presence. I'm doing video right now as you're watching this. This is not exactly a born natural comfort zone, but it's something I've gotten used to, and it's helped tremendously in our business. You do not need a production studio to do video. You need an iPhone. You can go on Amazon. You can buy mics. You can buy lights, and you can do this. You could create a non-branded Facebook or Instagram page. Doesn't have to be real estate. It could be living in Middlesex County, whatever it might be. And what you can do with video is you can become the local expert and go-to person and build rapport without even meeting the person. Create content that's relevant to sellers. If I'm looking to sell my house, what might be relevant to me? How about a market update? What is going on in that town? I'm looking in Robbinsville. What's important to me in Robbinsville? Recent sales. How many listings are on the market? So all you have to do, you can just take your phone. What is happening in today's Robbinsville market? Hi, it's Carl with RE/MAX. Today I want to unpack to you of what the market looks like in case you're thinking of buying, selling, or refinancing your house. There are currently ... houses on the market. You could do this video, you can add value. You don't always have to have a call to action, but you can even say things like, hey, DM me for more information. You take this video, you put it on your Facebook page, the non-branded one, you share it to your personal page. On your business page, you boost it to the area that you're focused on. You could do $5 a day, so for that, you spend $150 for that whole month, and people see your video. People will reach out to you on those videos. So if you're doing video, make sure you have Facebook Messenger, make sure you know how to check your Instagram DMs. But you share it on Facebook, you share it on Instagram, you can make a YouTube page and just create that content. We've had agents that have done this, that I've talked to for 2 years about doing this, who started, and in their first 2 weeks after sending a couple videos that they just did with a cell phone, no fancy production, generated 3 listings, a rental, buyer, and 2 team members. All from video. All for not spending a lot of money. But they did it. They took action. Creating content. What else would appeal to the seller? Right? 5 tips and tricks to maximize the value of your house before you put it on the market. Hi, it's Carl Sanfilippo with RE/MAX. Today what I want to talk about is these tricks that sellers have done to maximize the amount when selling their house. ... More information, shoot me a DM. But it's like anything else, you have to be consistent. You can't do one video, put it out there, get no response, say, well, video doesn't work. It's the equivalent of going to the gym once, eating grilled chicken for a day, and you didn't lose 30 pounds, so you say chicken in the gym doesn't work. But if you do it consistently and you get yourself out there, you become the expert in that area, what you have now done is you've built a magnet. Instead of you trying to reach out to somebody and convince them to work for you, they're being attracted to you. You're a magnet. They're saying, hey, can you help me? You've already gained trust. You've already established yourself as an expert. You could feature business and business owners. There's a program called StreamYard. Very easy interview style through Facebook, YouTube. What's great about this is you can interview that business owner, especially restaurants. Restaurants are struggling right now. Feature them. Business owner might want to say, anyone who watches this interview gets 10% off if you mention this video, whatever it might be. But you interview them, you put them on your page, you share it on your personal page, you put it on your Instagram. You're becoming that expert in the town. I know this, in my town where I live, when a new restaurant opens, my wife and I are the first ones trying to check out what that restaurant's about. So if I saw an agent in our area interviewing that restaurant owner, I'm gonna watch. You don't have to be out there selling people that, oh, I sell real estate, I sell real estate. People are gonna know that. Right? You could wear a shirt with the RE/MAX logo or whatever brand you're with logo. It doesn't always have to be, and if you think of anyone who's buying or selling real estate, think of me. You don't always have to throw, you're staying top of mind. Watch this, take it one step further. Now you have this video. You can blast it out to all your past clients and leads who are in that area. So you now have taken that video and you've created an asset and you've deployed that asset to help you generate leads. And when you start doing this and it works, you're gonna love it. Like I said, this is tried, tested, and proven with multiple agents that I've worked with. The toughest video you're gonna do is the first one. Don't worry what it looks like. Don't worry if it's bad. Let's talk about going live at town events. Be the expert. This year, we're gonna start hopefully seeing some town events come back. Go live on Facebook from the township day, the township fair. What happens when you go live is everybody you're connected to on your social media is going to get an alert. You have 3 seconds to gain people's attention. Why do I tell you that? If you're going live, you don't want to sit there and just be like, hey, hi, everyone. Hey, everybody at Facebook land. Happy Thursday. I'm coming from the town fair. You lost their attention. That first 3 seconds is to get a hook, to get people interested and to keep watching your video. But people get the alert, they see the video, and then what happens is that video stays on your Facebook feed. What are buyers and sellers doing who you don't have a personal relationship with before they meet with you? They are looking you up online and social media. So if I'm a seller in that town and I see your Facebook feed, which I keep public because I want people to see it, they're going to see me at the county fair. They're going to see me at this. They're going to see me as interviewing local business owners and being a local expert in the area. My job in that listing appointment now just got 10 times easier. I don't have to sell myself that I'm a local expert. I've proven myself I'm a local expert without me having to say a thing. You could create seller tips like we talked about before. Getting people into your marketing funnel. This is a great way to generate listing leads. That doesn't cost a lot of money. You can buy the microphones, the camera, everything you need for less than $500. iMovies is a great way if you want to edit it, you want to put a background on it and whatnot. There's plenty of YouTube videos out there that explain how to use iMovie. It's just taking the time to do it and stepping outside your comfort zone. What do you hate more? the way you look and sound on video, or not generating more business for low cost? Because the best part of this is it doesn't take a lot of money to generate these leads. And you don't want to be too salesy. Right? If it's all about sales and it's all about working with you and it's all about selling real estate and all that, people are going to see through that, and that's when the sales skepticism is going to come up. You got to give free content out. You got to do the video. You just got to build your brand and be that expert in the area, and you will become a magnet. Video will make you the local leader. It shows that you're different than other agents. We can all go in and say we're different than other agents and say our marketing's better in our video, but you can say it, but I always say if you can demonstrate it, you're better off. So demonstrate who you are. You can boost the ad. So if you're focusing on Robbinsville, you can boost the ad right through that town and become that expert for a minimal amount of money. Talking about less than a cup of coffee a day. You gotta be consistent. You gotta be consistent, and you gotta be consistent. The first one you do will be the hardest one you do. And don't worry if it's perfect. I've had flaws right now in this video, and you're gonna have flaws in your video. And that's okay, but you gotta do it. So, lastly, referrals from other agents. With social media now, this is even more prevalent. Facebook groups. Who here, you've been in the RE/MAX referral Facebook, the Lab Coat Agents referral Facebook group? Who's seen it when someone says, hey, I know somebody who wants to relocate to central New Jersey. I need somebody. So what happens is most agents just say, oh, DM, I'll help, I can help. What about taking it a step further? What about calling that agent who posted it? While everyone is just going to drop their name in the comments, I would like to be more aggressive and A, call the agent, try to sell myself. B, do a video, text it to the agent. Again, this doesn't have to be production. Hey, Sally, I saw you're looking for an agent in central, even better. I'm not your typical agent in central New Jersey. Hi, Sally, I saw your post on the Facebook group that you're looking for an agent in this area. This is a little bit about me, my stats, how I'm passionate about helping my clients. I hope by this video you could tell them not your typical realtor. You text it to them or you email it to them. You don't need BombBomb. You could just do it right from your cell phone. If you're thinking about paying for BombBomb because you want to test out doing more video, email, I say go with a program like Vidyard, Vidyard. Test it out for free. If you start really using it, then look at doing some of these paid options. But I don't want to see agents just pay for it because they got excited from a training and then they never use it and they've wasted $400 or $500 that they could have put somewhere else. Right? Get comfortable doing it for free, and then if you want to go to some more advanced things, you can. But I personally have never used BombBomb. And we do a lot of video. So the Facebook groups is a great way. Conventions. Now, obviously, conventions have been a little bit, they're a little less this year and last year with everything that went on. But when they do come back and you're comfortable going, work in these conventions. I have a good friend of mine out of New York who does a ton of business based on referrals from people he's met at conventions and conferences like Inman and whatever else. He just networks. Everybody knows that he's the go-to guy in that area just from years of doing conventions. And when I talk to him, he goes, every time I go to a convention, there's such a huge ROI on it from the agents I've met and the referrals I receive. Again, the video email, somebody posts in the Facebook group, send them a video. I'm not a big believer in just start cold calling agents in certain areas, thinking to try to get referrals because you want to build some type of relationship. But there's so many different Facebook groups and there's so many of these different referral systems out there. It's like, how do you get yourself to stand out from the rest to get this business? Yes, you got to pay a referral fee, but you know what? If it's a lead that you're proven and you're referred to and your chance of getting it is better, great. But how do you make yourself stand out from all the other agents? You want to build your referral network. When you're doing the videos with business owners and you're helping to promote that business owner's business, who do you think that business owner is going to think about when he knows somebody who has to buy and sell? Same thing, if you have a referral to place out of state, put that person in your referral network. Who do you think they're going to think of, or who they're going to say that they should refer their business to if one of their colleagues has somebody? You want to build that referral network. You want to build those cheerleaders. I mean, these Facebook groups, there are so many referrals going out back and forth. It's astonishing. You could do so much business. You could do $5 million a year just on referrals from these Facebook groups, $10 million. But how do you maximize it? How do you make yourself stand out from all the other agents? So, today we covered 5 creative ways to generate listings. I sincerely hope you picked up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nuggets that could help you implement in your business. I'm here as a resource to help you with any of these strategies. Feel free to reach out to me. Please follow me on social media, on Instagram, Facebook. A lot of the stuff we talked about with videos, we're doing on a company level. You can mimic what we're doing. And if you need help with it, we're here to help. So again, thanks for tuning in. I hope you got some good information from this training in the most competitive market we have ever seen. Tune in for our next training, and we'll see you soon.